Hey, here's 7 days of super simple, easy to recreate, delicious vegan meals, using up lots of leftovers and random things I could find in my cupboard and fridge. It's a long and cozy video, so settle in and enjoy. Also, this video is brought to you by Squarespace. I started filming this video on New Year's Day, and so my friends and I woke up super late and decided to have a cozy, long, drawn-out brunch. The star of the show being these gorgeous croissants that we made using pre-made croissant dough, which just so happens to be vegan. And then we filled them with all sorts of things, and by we, I mean my friend Artemis. She came up with so many different ideas. Cashew butter and thinly sliced apples, for example, which she sprinkled with cinnamon as well. She made one filled with homemade Snickers bars. Ooh, she also brought the new plant-based Nutella. It is delicious. I just wish it was the same price as the original, like that'd be really nice. We made dalgona coffee. What a throwback. I just kept drinking these vanilla instant iced lattes. We also had some muesli bowls. It was a wholesome time. I just love having breakfast for hours. By the time I was supposed to eat lunch, it was dinner time, technically. And I was very excited for this because all I had to do was reheat the lasagna we'd made the night before. We'd put together 2 types of lasagna. One was your regular vegan bolognese type beat, and then the other one was quite fancy. Cashew, lemon, and spinach ricotta, zucchini slices, more spinach, and topped with vegan feta. Yeah, shout out to my friends for doing most of the cooking. Like, both of them insisted, and I just was there to pick out the music. Anyway, back to January 1st. So, had my lasagna pieces with a quick little salad on the side, consisting of tomato, spinach, and a super simple dressing made with olive oil, white wine vinegar, pepper, salt, agave syrup. Added some roasted sesame seeds on top, of course. And then later in the night, I made a huge bowl of cheesy, spicy popcorn. Add a tablespoon of coconut oil to a medium pot. Add in 2 to 4 little popcorn kernels. Close the lid and turn the heat to medium-high. Now wait for the kernels to pop. Once that has been achieved, add in the salt, which is probably smarter to do that at the beginning. But anyway, add in the salt and then quickly throw in the rest of the popcorn, putting the lid back on and giving everything a good shake. Turn the heat to medium-low and let the rest of the popcorn pop, and make sure to shake the pot frequently. And now you can just keep this as it is. I decided to add some gochugaru, like Korean red pepper flakes here, plus some vegan pizza cheese, which was a really fun combination.
None of those guys were there when you had to read your poem aloud in class?
Here I'm watching The OC. It feels like watching Gossip Girl for the first time again, but with much better outfits. So far, my only gripe with this show is, why do all the major couples, why do they all look like siblings? Or is it just me? I don't know. On to day 2. For breakfast, I made a yogurt smoothie type bowl by blending up frozen blueberries, frozen banana, unsweetened soy yogurt, vanilla, hemp seeds, tiny pinch of salt, some cashew butter, and some water. I also reheated some leftover filled croissants. And then I got a vision of me dipping the croissants into the smoothie bowl. It looks kind of gross, but it was genuinely so good. The joy that my breakfast elicited didn't last very long because I was then hit with some of the worst PMS pain I've ever experienced in my entire life. I am not exaggerating when I tell you that this felt like my body was trying to give birth to a demon child.
How I love being a woman.
I talked to my mom on the phone and she told me that I needed to refuel with minerals and salts and something that would be easy on the stomach. So I opted for a quick miso soup. To my saucepan, I added some hot water, soy sauce, some nori, a little bit of agave, some vinegar, and some more spices because I didn't have any vegetable broth powder to work with. I also added some chopped celery, small shallot, and half a block of tofu cut into chunks. Then I brought everything up to a quick simmer, added some quick cooking noodles alongside a bit of extra water and spinach. The noodles took about 3 minutes, so same as the spinach. Meanwhile, in a separate bowl, I mixed together the miso paste and hot water. And then once the noodles were cooked through, I took the soup off the heat and poured in the miso mixture. I had about half the soup for lunch and then half for dinner. Oh, I recently got a new jar of Chinese crispy chili oil. A spoon or two made the soup even more flavorful. I also added some lemon juice on top and had some of these popcorn chips on the side. I was gonna go to the movies, but I still felt so drained. Yeah, there was no way I was gonna step outside. Instead, I had some chocolate mochi ice cream bites and some lovely rooibos tea with oat milk. And I used this freed up time to reflect on my past year. Here's some of the journal prompts that I came up with. Some of them I found online. Feel free to screenshot and journal along. Obviously, you can do this at any time of the year. And instead of saying this past year, you could also say these past 6 months, these past 3 months. Yeah, going through what I wrote, I realized that my year was not as meh as I thought it was. Yeah, it wasn't all that bad. I made some oatmeal the following morning in an attempt to use up these old apple pieces. So I just threw everything into my saucepan. So apple, oats, some couscous, cinnamon, salt, vanilla oat milk, and a bit of water. I brought everything up to a little simmer and then turned the heat to medium-low, allowing this to cook for about 10 minutes and making sure to stir every once in a while. I topped everything off with a sprinkle of brown sugar and some crushed walnuts. Oh my gosh, and then I got to open up a PR package. It is from the brand Nami, which is your mom, Ashley's matcha. Okay, so we have the regular matcha, and then she also included the hojicha. That's how you say it, right? Thank you so much, Ashley. I think I'm gonna try the matcha immediately. I have to. This is the foamiest I have ever gotten my matcha to be. I don't know what that means, but I do think it's a good sign. I did add a tiny bit of agave syrup, which in hindsight, I don't think I even needed. But yeah, this was very nice. I did not expect anything less. For lunch, I grabbed my leftover tofu block and shredded it using a cheese grater. I let the tofu pan fry in a little bit of olive oil for about 7 minutes over medium. In the meantime, I toasted up some bread that I found in my freezer, and I topped that off with some aubergine sunflower seed spread, the shredded tofu, some cherry tomatoes, some chili crisp oil, pinch of salt. For dinner, I cut up this oddly shaped sweet potato and a handful of beets. I barely ever cook with beets. I really should do it more often, actually. So I topped the roasted veggies with vegan cheese, the sunflower seed spread, some more crispy chili oil, some salt. This reminds me of poutine a little bit. Okay, need some ibuprofen. I was off to see Queer. I had been waiting for this movie for a long time. Same goes for a lot of people, it seemed, because the cinema was packed. The movie, without spoiling anything, was strange, but I did enjoy it. It's definitely a bit of a freaky film, just so you know. But yeah, the acting was amazing. I've never seen Daniel Craig in anything other than Knives Out. I've never watched a James Bond movie in my life, but I was really impressed with him. However, I did leave the theater with so many questions. Breakfast the next day was another slice of bread from my freezer that I topped with vegan cream cheese, leftover roasted sweet potato and beet, some walnuts, some more chili crisp oil, and a pinch of salt. Also had another iced matcha and a green apple. I got this lemon cheesecake flavored yogurt at the grocery store for €1. I topped it off with some muesli, some chocolate granola, cereal, a little bit of green apple. Am I crazy for also adding some grated carrot? Even though it is a vegetable, is it a vegetable? Even though it is a vegetable, carrot is really neutral in flavor, I would say, almost sweet. Then I went to a cozy coffee shop to go see a friend. Later in the day, I had this shiitake-filled onigiri, which is pretty good. And then I made dinner, which again consisted of roasted vegetables, okay, mainly just yellow potatoes, and like the tiniest carrot half. I also added some chickpeas, and then drizzled everything with olive oil, white wine vinegar, and salt. And then I put this into the oven until nice and crispy. I added the vinegar because I really like salt and vinegar chips, and this just kind of reminds me of that a little bit. And then the dressing was this sunflower seed spread that I just added some unsweetened yogurt to, plus a bit of water. The following morning, I did some baking. I made these insanely fluffy strawberry jam buns for a friend's birthday. I don't know about you, but I always have way too much jam at home, and so this was also a really great way to get through some jam. First, melt some vegan butter. Then transfer this to a large mixing bowl. Add the sugar and some non-dairy milk at room temperature. Give this a quick mix and then sprinkle the dry active yeast on top. Now put this somewhere warm for 5 to 10 minutes. I would recommend using the oven with the lights on only. Meanwhile, in a smaller mixing bowl, combine the flour, salt, and cinnamon. Mix until roughly combined. Then transfer this to your surface. Make sure to lightly oil your hands. Then go ahead and knead the dough for 5 to 10 minutes or until it's nice and smooth. If needed, sprinkle atop a bit of flour. But yeah, just knead until it's no longer super sticky. Let the ball of dough rest once again someplace warm for 1 to 2 hours or until it has doubled or tripled in size. Now this goes back onto your kitchen surface, possibly floured. Give the dough another quick knead. Then roll this out into a large rectangle. Should be about 1/2 centimeter in thickness. In the background, I'm greasing my baking dish with a bit of vegan butter. Next, add a layer of melted vegan butter onto the sheet of dough. Next would be a layer of jam. Use any jam you like. If berries were in season right now, I would also recommend to maybe add a handful of fresh berries in there. That sounds really good. Roll up the dough from the shorter side and then carefully transfer the giant roll to a cutting board. Cut it into 9 more or less equally sized pieces. Don't hesitate to reshape the pieces a bit if needed. Now these go into the baking dish, and then place the baking dish into the oven with the lights on only. Let it rest for another 15 to 30 minutes, and then turn the heat to 180 degrees Celsius. Once you've reached the right temperature, allow the rolls to bake for 25 to 30 minutes or until nice and golden brown. Feel free to top these with either a cream cheese frosting or just a simple sugar glaze, which is what I did, but a cream cheese one sounds even better. this mango mousse cake Artemis made, and I will try and see if I can find her recipe. If yes, it'll be in the description. This was a Sunday, meaning that the stores were closed, therefore giving me the perfect excuse to buy takeout. I was craving soup, specifically pho, which I absolutely love and I hadn't had in so long. I should have just used the container that the soup came with. Anyway, I also got some dumplings, which I was really disappointed by the fact that there was only 4 dumplings. My breakfast I had secretly prepared the night before without filming, is what I'm saying. But it was this tiramisu style chia pudding. It's a recipe from my previous video. Basically, you just combine all these things the night before and then you top that with cacao powder and put it into the fridge overnight. I ended up adding the cacao powder in the morning, which I guess you can also do. I took some time out in the morning to journal and tried to get into some very broad and general planning and, I don't know, intention setting for the new year, which I honestly always find so daunting. So I like these journal prompts because I feel like they're a bit more gentle and they don't put all the pressure on you to achieve everything immediately. On to lunch, which ended up being this really yummy burrito-esque rice bowl. I first sauteed a red onion together with this random pack of vegan bacon. I added some tomatoes, a splash of wine to give it some more flavor. After a few minutes, I added some black beans, some soy sauce, and then I gave everything another 5 to 7 minutes, kind of mashing down onto the beans to create somewhat of a sauce. And then I finished this off with a bunch of toppings. Then I did something a little crazy. I had this chocolate oat bar and I topped it with vegan hazelnut spread. And then I topped that off with tahini. For my dinner, I cooked up these vegan meat strips. They're really yummy. And I had those with leftover rice and beans from lunch, some carrot strips. And then for the sauce, I had simply just combined unsweetened soy yogurt, olive oil, white wine vinegar, and salt. My washing machine decided to break in the middle of the night. This is why it looks like that right now. But anyway, I'm making a smoothie for breakfast using frozen cherries, vanilla yogurt, chia seeds, protein powder, tahini, cinnamon, and this ready-made porridge mix. I found this tube of ready-made bread rolls in my cupboard, and so I baked those according to the packaging. They're very nostalgic. My family buys them a lot. And I decided to make little sliders with these using vegan cream cheese, leftover soy meat, jalapenos, and basil. You might be able to tell from this concoction that my fridge was almost empty. Then I had one of these vegan Snickers bars that my friend Artemis makes herself. They're very delicious, very rich. I will try to find her recipe once again and link it in the description. And then later at night, I decided to do some meal prepping, I guess. I made this big batch of insanely cozy vegan chili, heavily inspired by a food blog recipe that, again, will be credited. Preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius and line a baking sheet with parchment paper. Meanwhile, crumple up 2 blocks of firm plain tofu, add cornstarch, salt, and other spices of your choosing, plus a little bit of olive oil. Mix well, and then transfer this to the baking sheet. And let the tofu bake for about 25 minutes. or until golden brown and slightly crunchy. In the meantime, we're putting together the chili. So in a large pot, I'm placing some olive oil, turning that to medium heat. Then I'm adding a chopped onion, giving that about 5-6 minutes before adding the garlic, giving that another 2 to 3. Then I'm adding some chili flakes and soy sauce, giving that a quick mix. And then I'm pouring in the blended and chopped tomatoes. Also, different types of beans, some agave syrup, some water, and more spices. And then allow this to cook over medium-low for about 20 minutes. And then once the tofu is done, transfer it as best as you can to the chili and let everything cook for another 5-ish minutes, mixing frequently. I am obsessed with the tofu texture. It's really chewy and crispy, but not dry. If you're gonna be trying any recipe from this video, let it be this one. This was so good. And yeah, thank you so much for watching and being here. Feel free to click thumbs up. That really helps out the channel, but it can also help you find this video in the future. At least that's how I treat my own YouTube likes. It's super helpful because I don't have a bunch of different playlists where I organize videos that I've watched. Anyway, last but not least, here's a word from today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace makes it really easy to create a beautiful website, connect to your audience, share your art, sell your products, sell your content, and more. Start by choosing from their wide range of professionally designed website templates to get started, or build your site from scratch if you prefer. Also, create a new logo while you're at it. Have your website quickly get discovered with their optimized SEO tools, meaning you will show up more often in people's search engines and therefore grow your brand and business the way you want. If you need extra help, don't hesitate to ask their 24/7 award-winning customer service. Start today. Go to squarespace.com/MeNowRome and use the code MeNowRome to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.